All right. Well, welcome to the Viking Press Pass episode 24. I'm Matthew Nickel, and joining me today from the women's basketball team, Junior Guard Kadence Tatum. So, Cadence, thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
Well, hey, things to kick off. It's been 2.5 weeks, or so now since you guys were up at the Titan Holiday Classic. How has the kind of break been in between some games here?
Practices we practiced beforehand. We all knew everybody was leaving from the Wisconsin to go home for Christmas. We just kind of emphasized like spend time with your family, have fun. We got back on the 27th and we've been to work ever since, twice a day. Most of the time, first hour is just shooting, getting shots up so we can focus on the second hour, hour and a half to 2 hours, execution, defense, working on things we can clean up that we noticed from that Titan Classic.
Mhm. Now, how's the break just kind of generally been? I know you guys just started, I think, J term this week, if I saw
Yeah,
correctly.
yesterday.
So kind of a nice little break. I mean, couple of weeks, even just kind of academically has been nice, I'd assume.
Yeah, it's definitely, we all realized like coming back, we're like, oh crap, we don't have class. So we're all having fun, practicing. And then yesterday we all came into practice after class and we're like, okay, so how was class, everyone? And they're like, I
Yeah.
wasn't ready. None of us were ready for it. But, it is what it is. And we'll all push through as best as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's talk a little bit about kind of that two-game series at the Wisconsin Dells. I mean, you guys split 1-1. You had a tough, opponent in the fifth-ranked Oshkosh, in game one, then bounced back with a nice big win, over Concordia, Chicago. What were your kind of thoughts on, the weekend as a whole?
Well, so we came in knowing like Oshkosh, we really have nothing to lose. They're a ranked team. Um, it's their tournament. If we just go out and do what we do, then it's going to be on them to either show what they have or kind of just fall to the ground. And at the beginning, we played as best as we could. We were sticking with them, and then all of a sudden, that just one little thing happened, and it was Oshkosh is a good team. They execute. They're very disciplined. They all know what each of them have to do in order to win. So, one little thing, all of a sudden, one goes down, and then next thing we know, we're down by 10, and then we get it
Yeah.
back close. And then, we put up a good fight, and it was definitely a good game. And for Concordia, we came in, we said we lost against Oshkosh, but we don't lose two in a row. So we said we're going to go out, play our game. Don't don't give up, don't back down. If we're up, don't let up, just keep going, and we definitely did that.
Now, what was that gym like? I was watching the broadcast, and you had to kind of pay to watch, and but there was no announcers. It was just kind of the gym, and it didn't seem like super full. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Carthage's
Mhm.
gym to a certain degree. I mean, what was kind of the atmosphere like? Playing up there.
There was definitely, like you said, it's like just an empty gym, really, not really many people are there. It is close to Christmas time, so it's like everybody's home with their families and stuff, but it was definitely different. We didn't have, like, the big, scoreboard to, like, look at the time or, like, the score. It was just too many, like, little scoreboards like in middle school and so, we were just kinda like it was definitely different, but we played through. We It was nice to have a smaller gym though, because you never know, it brings back good memories.
Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously the Dells is, famous for water parks. I was up there not too long ago. I mean, did what did the team get a chance to do while you were up there? To get a chance to break away at all and kind of visit a water park or get a chance to eat some of the different restaurants up there? Like, what did you guys do kind of outside of the games?
So we actually didn't get to do any of the water parks, sadly, we all wanted to, but we played one game, and then the next day we played at 12, so it was, like, back to back, get there, get to the hotel, eat, go play, go to the hotel, eat again, hang out with each other, and just kinda bond as a team. and then we had to get up and go play again. But we did go and eat. We had, I think, moose jaw. It was really good when we first got
Yep.
there. Love that place. Yeah, so that's the first thing we did when we got there. We all were hungry, so we're like, we have to go eat. And then after that, we went to the game, watched the first game that was being played, and then played and got back. Don't know what we had for dinner. It was ordered for us. And then we all just hung out as a team. We're a really young team, so we wanted to kind of split up and kind of get to know each other more on a like deeper level, and we definitely did that. So it was exciting.
Yeah, actually, I threw on my note here. I'm like, did you eat at Moose Jaw? It's one of my favorite places up there to go to.
Oh yeah.
Now, did you guys wear the hats?
Oh, we
Did you
did.
get
We did. We definitely
okay,
did. They brought them, and we immediately put them on, and we're like, okay,
good.
this is, yeah. Even our coaches put them on. We're like, yep, everybody has to put them on. So
Yep.
yeah,
That's I remember the first time, this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, I went up there, and it's the first time I'd ever been up there. And, I kinda walk in and I laugh a little bit, but it's such a cool atmosphere, great food, so we always make a point to go up there, and I take my family up, so love it.
yeah.
Um, Now, I sort of recall, at the men's home opener, you had a knee brace on. Now, what was kind of the injury that you were, recovering from, prior to the season?
So I actually tore my ACL at the end of our season last year. I dislocated my knee and tore my ACL at the same time, and so we didn't realize I tore my ACL at first. We thought I just dislocated my knee and that I was gonna be fine. And then I was kind of like going around and walking, and every time I like do something, I turn too fast, my knee would dislocate again. And we were like, okay, something's not right. And so we went to the doctor, got an MRI, came back, tore my ACL. This is my second ACL tear. I tore my other one in high school. And so I was kind of already knew what I had to do and how long the recovery was. So immediately after we found out in February, immediately got surgery so I could come back in enough time to have play for this season. And I did get cleared at the very end of October, and immediately got back to what I wanted to do. So yes, it was a very rough ride, but we made it.
Did you go with a cadaver for the repair, or did you do your hamstring?
I did my hamstring actually. So for both of my
Mhm,
ACLs now, I have gotten my own hamstring graft, and as of right now, they've worked pretty well. And I don't have to wear like an actual ACL brace in a game just simply because they don't really prevent you from tearing your ACL again. It's just kind of the kind of placebo effect thing where it's like I
mhm.
feel better now, but I wear a little leg sleeve just to keep the compression so it doesn't swell up too much. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I tore my ACL, same thing. I did the hamstring. They say it's a little bit longer because you got to nurse the hamstring back
Yeah.
as well, but your body tends to accept it a lot easier. Um, so yeah, I think that's the way to go. But yeah, mine's held up for gosh a number of years, but same thing. It was a long road. It just I think even just like that trust factor. I remember my
Yeah.
first game I played without it. Um, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go cut," and you're so nervous. You you know?
Yeah, it's definitely hard too, because like, with the hamstring graft, it's like you have to build back your hamstring, so you have to build back all that strength, and so, like, for the first half of, like, rehab, it's just literally building back the hamstring strength so you can trust your knee and trust your new ACL, so it's definitely something that was a very long, like, first month of PT is strictly just, working, getting that hamstring strength back, the quad strength back, you lose a lot of muscle, so
Mhm.
gotta gain it all back, and hopefully then it's just mental after that point.
Now, when you came back, did you, like, test your vert afterwards and, some of those performance things? Did you see, like I remember when I tore mine, I came back and it was actually I had the highest vert I've ever had in my life. And did you feel like a lot of the stuff that you were doing as part of the rehab, put you in a pretty good spot to kind of take over and resume, like basketball activities?
Yeah, so I actually, like, we did, like, our vertical testing and stuff, like, while I was still, like, on the verge of getting cleared or not cleared, and so I really, like, was still scared to, like, land on it, but I did it while I wasn't, like, I couldn't play yet, and I had the same vertical a little bit a little bit higher than I did before I tore my ACL, so I was kind of impressed by that, and everybody was like, "How is that possible?" I was like, "I don't
Right.
know. I I have no clue." But, it did take a while for me to, like, fully get back to, like, where I was beforehand. Um, Coach came up to me one day and he was like, "So you're coming back?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm starting to see the cadence I knew before." And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, it's like you're a Forrest Gump running, like, all the braces are just flying off." And I was like, "Okay, that's a good enough for that." So, it was definitely a good, like, thing to see, like, everybody notice that, like, even though I had, like, a slow start that eventually I was coming back tonight, because I didn't realize it at first. My mom was telling me it, my coaches, my teammates were like, "You're slowly getting back into being who you were beforehand."
Mhm.
So,
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah, because when they had, um, a bunch of the people were out there doing the half court shot. You were you're the last of like the 4 or 5 to go, and like you're the only one that like actually like darn near knocked it down. Like everybody else was like
yeah.
throwing it into the stands and barely make, they're all over. But I saw you taking that shot, and then you had the knee brace on. I was like, oh, I was like, I'm assuming you were probably fine, but I'm like, man, if Coach B sees her doing this, like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, no, it was so funny because we actually practiced before that game, and we were like all like, "Oh my gosh," because all of our team basically, like, entered, and we're like, "Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, what happens, like, if we get picked?" And so then, like, at the end, we looked at him and we're like, "Would you be mad if we just stopped and started shooting half court shots?" And he was like, "No." And so afterwards, like, everybody's, like, just throwing it up, and then all of a sudden someone comes up to me and was like, "Cadence, I think you got picked." And I was like, "What?" So I was like, "Everybody move out my way. I have to be able to make it." And then when I got there, I was like, I threw it and I was like, "Oh, that feels good, that feels good." And then it, like, barely missed, and I was like, "I should still get the money, personally."
Yep. Yeah. I love it. Um, well, turning a little bit, to your career here a little bit. I mean, last year you finished with, I think it was 131 assists. At one point, you led the nation. Ultimately ended up number 22 in the country and second in the conference, just behind Carroll's like Olivia Rangel. Um, did you know though that last season was number one all time in Augustana women's basketball history for assists?
I didn't until actually, like, recently because one of our old like, my freshman year, one of our, old assistant coaches, Jordan Harris, he came up to me, he's like, "So are you gonna, like, go for, like, your whole 4 years, like, assist record?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "You hold the one for, like, the one single season." And I was like, "No, I don't." And then I told my mom about it, and she's like, "What? Let me go look." So she went and looked, and she was like, "Yeah, you do." And I was like, "Oh." Yeah. I had no clue, and all of a sudden, I was like and then, like, my coach started talking about it, and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then I was like, "Oh, now I get it. Now I get it."
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's super cool, and, I think what's interesting is, a lot of the Viking athletes just kind of across the board are so focused on team play, team first. They don't really look at those kind of individual accolades. I mean, there's been a number of interviews I've done where it's like, "Hey, did you realize that?" And they're like, "I had 0 clue." So I think again, I think it speaks to kind of your character and the culture of the team, as well. But I was like, I wonder if you even know that. But
Yeah, I
that's
didn't
pretty
find out
cool.
until literally this year. Yeah, I
Um,
was excited.
well, you had, I mean, at Wisconsin Platteville or versus Wisconsin Platteville last year. I mean, you had, was the season high game high of 15. Um, And, I think like assists are such a reflection of like a player's vision, your plus your abilities teammate, to finish. How do how important do you feel like team chemistry is, when you achieve numbers like that and have a really good assist game?
Oh, it's beyond crazy. I mean, our goal for a team like, as a team always is to have, um, a good, like, assist to turnover ratio, a good, like, assist on field goal ratio, and we always come through with it. Normally, we have, like I think one of our last games was, like, 18 assists on 25 field goals. So it was like, we all love to share the ball with each other. the second we don't, we kind of all realize like this is not working. We have to share
Yep.
the ball with each other, and then that's just we show each other that we trust each other and kind of like, hey, like we know this is what you're best at. Do it. Go do it. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice when you've got shooters, like Emma and Paige and Carly you can dish off to, and they can pop off from anywhere, get it down low to Tia. Um, it's nice when you have a lot of folks that you can hand it off to,
yeah.
with a lot of confidence. Now you're leading the team again, in assists this year. Um, what do you think makes you specifically like an effective facilitator of the ball?
You know, I've always kind of, like, been this person not to, like, wanna score it because 'cause I'm littler than everyone, and that's been how it's been since really high school. I kinda didn't wanna I knew I had other teammates that could do it where I could just give it to them and they'd do it for me. But realizing, like, after I tore my ACL in high school, I kinda just sat on the bench and kinda witnessed the court from a different perspective, and so when I got back, that was my main goal, like, I wanna be able to pass the ball and then also get it back and score. But my main thing was that if I pass it to someone and they score, I'm also basically scoring. I'm giving them the ball to do what they do best. And so it's also goes on my stat line that I got that assist, and I'd much rather have assist than points.
Well, it's all contributing regardless, right? So, um, well, I know, I mean, because you're leading the team, or you're tied with the team high 16 steals here as well this year. So when you think about the other things not point related, you're making pretty big contributions, across the floor, which is awesome to see. Now, a little more lighter note, last month you took over the Augie Instagram stories kind of for a day. Tell me a little bit about like that experience and what that was like, and um, to be kind of engaged on that platform all day from an Augie perspective.
Yeah, it was actually super cool. They reached out, asked if I'd be willing to do it that and I said, "Of course I would." There's no reason why I wouldn't, just an opportunity to do it. And, when I got the Instagram, I kinda was nervous. I was like, "Oh, what do I do? I don't really know what to do." But then I was like, "I'm just gonna take take them through my day." It's not many people know, like, what happens on, like, student athletes' lives, and people think, like, "Oh, we're really just, like, athletes and we focus on sports," and but then there's also, like, the student part of it, and I still have to go to class, I still have to do my homework, I still have to go to the gym and shoot before a game, like, it's just all those little things that not many people realize,
Mhm.
and it was kinda good to show everybody, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know," like, "That's so cool," and kinda just was like, "I didn't know that Augie does that all the time," and it was definitely cool. I had people coming up to me, like, asking me if I could, like, talk to them and, like, be friends with them again, and I was like, "Of course I'll be friends with you," like, I'm a pretty open person. It was good to, like, share my perspective of what I do.
Yeah. Well, it's just a nice behind the scenes look of like all the things that you have to manage during the day.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so you had lunch at the CSL. What's your favorite thing from the CSL?
Oh, you know, I Oh, that's a hard one. I really love the fried ravioli, I'm not gonna lie. The fried ravioli or the pasta bar. Those 2 get me.
Now you got an energy drink from Atomic.
Yes.
What's your go-to drink there?
So I actually work there. So I try a lot of drinks on, like, a daily basis. But right now, my favorite drink is probably Phoenix with extra orange. I don't know why. Someone got it one time, I tried it, and now I haven't got anything else since.
All right. Well, heck, maybe we should talk about Atomic being a little side partner sponsor of the Viking Press Pass. Got a little in now. Um, it was game day. You got the win. That was Paige's 31-point game. So that was kind of a nice little end, to that day. Um, but then I saw you finished it off with Portillo's. So
Oh, yeah.
what's kind of the favorite go-to thing there?
Okay, so I love their strawberry shakes. And it's so funny because normally, like when we're on the road, like if we know there's a Portillo's around, we'll go get it. And if we win, like all like shakes and stuff are on Coach. If we don't win, none of us can get them. And so we were like, I was like, oh, we won, and my roommate was like, do you want to go get food? And I was like, yes, I want Portillo's. And so then I went, and first thing I ordered was a strawberry shake. And then I got a fry with cheese sauce and then a beef bowl, but I got it plain because I'm kind of picky about it. So it
All
was
right.
literally just beef. But yeah,
Yeah, 'cause when I saw it was Portillo's, it's like, I mean, that's a little jaunt from campus. I mean, it's up kind of by where I live. So I'm like, it's a few minute drive. But yeah, they're building. I mean, I remember when they came. I mean, gosh, the line to Portillo's was. I mean, it's always pretty long. It feels like, um, but it was just crazy because then you have Cane's right next door, and there's been a few other places pop up there, and um, awesome. So J term kicked off this week. You were talking a little bit about that. Now how long is J term and what does that like course load kind of look like versus like, fall semester?
yeah. So it's like about a month. So we started yesterday, the 6th, and we end I think the 28th. And it's literally kind of basically just like a whole course kind of shoved into that 1 month. So it is very fast paced. Most professors try to get as much done as possible, hands on, there's a lot of people that have to take like math classes or like science classes that aren't good at science or good at math. And so it's like one of those things kind of like easier course and kind of way for those. And I'm in English class and we got to read 4 books, and so it's just kind of different compared to who's your professor, what like level is the class, is it upper level, is it lower level class, just depends on your course load, and it's kind of like one big whole 7 week course that we normally do. I don't even 14 one semester squished
Yep.
into like one little class, so it can be overwhelming, but it's it's definitely something.
Kind of just cramming everything into, kind of
Yep.
1 month, which, I would look at that and say, okay, if it's something that I don't necessarily am strong in, I'd probably, think a little bit about that as, I just have one thing I need to focus on specifically versus, several courses and balancing that. Yeah, it's definitely, a different setup than, when I was there. So I was kind of curious a little bit about how the J term worked. But you're also a kinesiology major. So what kind of interested you in that track?
So I, for the longest time, wanted to be a teacher. And then in high school, when I tore my ACL the first time, I spent a lot of time with my physical therapist, my athletic trainers at school, since I couldn't really do anything with like gym or lifting. Because in high school, I lifted instead of doing like a normal gym class. But I really couldn't do anything, so I just did rehab in the athletic training office, and so I kind of got to know them and kind of what they do. And so after that, I kind of like turned and I was like, maybe this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I really honestly can't see my life without basketball or without sports at least. So knowing that I could still, I think I want to do more of like athletic training because of that, and coaching. And so kind of just on the aspect of getting to know different things, and that kind of led me, like, I coached when I tore my ACL in like a little 8th grade team for Moline, and then I kind of was like, okay, maybe I like to do this. Then I was spending time with athletic trainers. I was like, yep, I can't live without basketball. So I think that this might be, I have all different sports possible. So I used to play soccer, track, all that. So it's like I get to keep the sports in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that department, right, of kinesiology is located in the newest building, the Lindbergh Center for Health and Human Performance. So, what has that been like having access to that type of facility, in that lab that goes on there?
It is so fun. I actually, like, when I was, like, looking at Augie was kinda getting built, it was, like, in the works of, like, finishing up the building process, and I was like, "Okay, I know I wanna go to a school with kinesiology," and not many colleges had that yet. And so when I found out that Augie did, and it was, like, one of their newest buildings, I was like, "Okay, this is it. I'm gonna go here." And then I actually like got to get into the building and like have classes in there, have go to the lab. And it is such a cool experience, working with other people and kind of just working on different things that we would see in a normal daily basis. We're doing bench press and figuring out what muscles are activated for that. We're doing different things of like, oh, how would that work? How would this work? Like, what is our heart rate when this happens? And kind of just working with all that. And it's so cool to see it in action.
Well, and I've wanted to come over, and I didn't get a chance to this year to even watch, one of the water polo games. I haven't been inside that facility. I've just seen the renderings. I'm like, I really wanted to come over and check it out, and it looks super cool. So all the different investments they're making, and it feels like there's been, a nice trend from Augustana. Maybe I'm just noticing more, and specifically within athletes, is going the kinesiology route. Augie's always been a strong like pre med, undergrad school. So this is just kind of a nice addition to obviously the offerings and the longer term plan. So pretty cool. Now, did as a Moline native though, I mean, was Augustana kind of always in your vision? How'd you kind of land and stay local?
Yeah, so actually Augustana was like I was like, I'm not going. I don't want to go home. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of Illinois. I want to get out of the Quad Cities. And then I went to visit Blackhawk and I was like, okay, well, too close to home, literally 5 minutes away from Blackhawks. So I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Then I was talking to schools in like Wisconsin, Minnesota, um, and I think there was one in Missouri that I was to, and I was just kind of like, okay, these are options. And then my mom was like, well, can we at least go visit Augie just so we know, like when we go out of town to like these colleges that are 4 or 5 hours away, like what we would expect for a tour or anything like that. And I was like, yep, we can do it. I came. I didn't feel like I was in the Quad Cities whatsoever. And so I kind of like looked at my mom and she was like, what? And I was like, I think I like it here. And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." She always wanted me to stay close to home. And then I was like, "I think I actually like it here." And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I think I'm gonna text B and say that I want to commit." And she was like, "Wait, you're joking?" And I was like, "No, I think I'm gonna go to Augustana." And she was like, "Oh my gosh." And I texted him and I told him, and he was so excited. I've been coming to the Augie camp since I was a little kid. So I was like, "Hey, if it's okay with you, I'd like to commit." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, it's perfectly fine with me. Yes." And I was like, "Perfect." And yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little hidden gem, here locally that, even same thing with me. I mean, Augie was kind of later in my recruiting process, but again, I was kind of blown away. Like it's so close and what they offer. But again, it doesn't feel like you're in the Quad Cities. There's like its own little kind of community, inside, which is super cool. So you felt like you kind of got away, a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, Now what we haven't talked, I haven't talked about in any of the previous interviews is Greek life, and I see you've got your Phiro sorority jacket on. Um, Now, their motto is, friend in friendship there is strength. So now when I saw that, what does that kind of mean to you, like that statement, and maybe why you went and chose Greek life, and maybe the Phyros in particular.
Yeah, so I actually, like, didn't want to go Greek life. I always, like, seen, like, the TikToks or the videos of, like, the bigger schools and how, like, not many people are, like they don't really know each other. It's just kinda like, "Oh, we're in the same sorority," or, like, "We're in the same, like, fraternity." It's not like they actually know who each other are and anything like that. And then my roommates and my friends at the time, they're like, "Just do it. Just do it." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So I did it, and then I was a big thing of, like, I'm very loyalty friends, very loyalty family, and they're big aspects of my life. And so one of the things was that when they did say that, I was kinda like, "Okay, people can say it, but do they actually mean it?" And then I joined, and I found out very fast that it is very true that when there is friendship, there's strength. because it's a whole nother family for me. I mean, I have my basketball teammates, and that's one family, but I wanted to kind of venture out and not only always have my basketball teammates, I'm with them literally all year long. We don't stop. We get to school, start open gyms, and we end season, go to spring break, come back, and start open gyms again. We're with each other all the time. I just wanted to kind of
Mhm.
little second family I could go to, and I definitely found that, and I found my best friends in my sorority.
Love it. Well, it's been a great time, connecting with you here today. Certainly been kind of a ton of fun, and gosh, 24, my 24th interview, and it's crazy. It's January, and it's just started this thing in like September, I think, at some point. So it's been a ton of fun connecting. Just I started with football, and I was like, all right, let's do basketball because I knew Coach Delp from when he played here, and then I'm like, well, let me reach out to Coach B. Let's talk to him, and I know Coach Rowell very well. I need to give him a shout and have him on too, but. Yeah, this has been a ton of fun. So I appreciate you jumping on and having a good time, kind of talking a little bit about yourself.
Of course, it was so fun to be here.
Now, looking ahead to tomorrow, Vikings are traveling up to Illinois Wesleyan, so ranked number 2 now in the latest women D3 hoops poll. So got your test, one of the biggest ones ever, on the road tomorrow in Bloomington. So
We're just gonna try our best, do what we do, and hopefully we come out if we maybe pull out a win or not.
absolutely. Well, I'll be tuning in online. We have wrestling practice until about 7:30 or 8 tomorrow, so I'm gonna be tossing it up on my phone there in the wrestling room of North High School, and so good luck tomorrow. Give them all you got, and again, appreciate you jumping on today.
Of course, thank you.